Welcome. My name is Christina Cociancig. I will present the paper Tackling Algorithmic Disability Discrimination in the Hiring Process. For this short version, we focus on the main findings of our ethical, legal, and technical analysis. As a first step, we considered ethical implications of hiring with algorithms. Based on prior research into discrimination, we argue that we have a moral obligation to non-discrimination in the hiring process. People with disabilities already experience a distinct type of discrimination that is permeated with separation and segregation. Anti-discrimination law tries its best to refute malpractice, but the amount of court rulings and cases on this topic show that the moral obligation still hasn't fully settled into our societal moral system. We were furthermore able to observe the importance of information when it comes to hiring people with disabilities, may it be in the form of disclosing the disability or illegal knowledge, for example, about reasonable accommodation, which describes a group of measures that we focused on that provide equal opportunities at the workspace supplied by the employer. We believe that AI ethics as a field of research has failed people with disabilities. AI in general has difficulties with considering anything that is out of norm, but also AI ethics guidelines have mostly failed to consider this vulnerable group. None of the guidelines have identified the unique position of people with disabilities to progress ethical principles for. In the legal section, we analyze automated hiring from the viewpoint of non-discrimination law. We argue that automated hiring should be presumed to be discriminatory. In fact, these systems reject candidates with disabilities without even recommending accommodations. This presumption is crucial since it shifts the burden of proof onto employers in discrimination lawsuits. Second, from the viewpoint of data protection, we maintain that disability data can be processed only for providing reasonable accommodation and in case of the approval of the AI Act for debiasing. Furthermore, we stress that discrimination can result from the processing of non-personal data, such as proxies or anonymized data as well, which are not protected by law. Finally, we provide some recommendations for making automated hiring systems compliant with EU law. First, they cannot be fully automated. Second, the mandatory data protection impact assessment should be used for ensuring that the system can recommend reasonable accommodation. Finally, the AI Act proposes new measures against algorithmic bias, but it fails to provide harmed people with any remedies. Unfortunately, the current state of the art in automated hiring systems is not designed to provide reasonable accommodation. There are some data-driven tools to reduce or mitigate discrimination, but they assume that discrimination affects groups in a homogeneous manner. In contrast, people with disabilities are a highly heterogeneous group. There are many kinds of disabilities, and there is a large variety of accommodations that could be helpful during the hiring process. We suggest that a technical model of disability could be built by trying to understand the practical limitations that affect a person with a disability. However, such a model should be constructed and used with great care, such that we do not add to the injustice already experienced. The fact that we do not have a good way to handle the heterogeneity of disability makes it very difficult to automate a hiring process that itself provides reasonable accommodation. At times, we should therefore have humans intervene in the process, but this is costly and humans may have their own biases. In light of all these obstacles, we additionally have no clear legal standards of reasonable accommodation that could be suggested. However, these obstacles do not mean that technical solutions have no place in providing reasonable accommodation. We highlight the potential use of AI to recommend accommodations to recruiters. Also, AI tools can help us to spot patterns of discrimination in hiring processes. Thank you.